Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:07. It's O'Connor and Company on this Tuesday, first day of July, heading into a second half of this 2025. Coming up later in the program in 30 minutes, Phil Wegmann, White House reporter for Real Clear Politics. Then at 8:05, our friend Brad Thor. He's got a brand new summer thriller out, Edge of Honor, and it's a good one. I can tell you that. I'm Larry O'Connor. Hey, aren't you Julie Gunlock?
I am. Good morning.
My gosh, I know you. I've seen you on the TVs. Good to talk with you, Julie, and it's good to talk with Maryland delegate Mark Fisher, who, like me, is a fellow Marylander, and we love our state. We love being here, but Mark, it just got a little bit more expensive to call ourselves Marylanders, didn't it?
Good morning. Yes, July 1st, the $1.6 billion of taxes just kind of go into effect. It's all fees and new income taxes, higher income taxes, capital gains tax increases, a tire tax. By the way, you already pay 6% when you buy your tires for your cars, but Maryland, you also pay a recycle fee. A lot of people don't know that already. In addition to the 6, but Maryland wants an additional $5 per tire for recycling, even though they're already charging you for that. They're charging us. By the way, and my personal favorite is the from $5 to $12. They're increasing the license for seniors who are fishing in freshwater ponds or streams. And the penalty, of course, is if you are a senior and you're caught without a license, you're sent to the villages, naturally. So,
I mean, Maryland is already one of the most expensive states to retire in, as it is. And so, if I remember Governor Westmore saying at one point, I want to make Maryland a welcome place for retirees to spend their golden years. So you're retired, you want to spend your rest of your days at the Chesapeake Bay going out and fishing every day, and now you got to spend that much more money for a fishing license. That's insulting.
It really is insulting. And of course, all of this is on top of the fact that Maryland taxes retirement income. So it's like, well, if that isn't enough, and if it isn't enough that we have some of the highest electricity rates in the country and prices in the country, well, seniors have to pay this additional amount too when they're just trying to have fun. And I agree with you. I do love my state. I just can't stand the way it's governed. And it's been that way for a long time.
What do you? There's also this new tech tax that's going to be in effect, and what does that say to businesses? What do you say to businesses who are considering moving to Maryland or who are here? And certainly in our increasingly virtual world, they don't have to be. Have you had any conversations with some of these companies that might be considering a move, or companies that are no longer going to move to Maryland?
Absolutely. So here's an example. So Delegate Brian Crosby, I serve on the same committee as he does. He is from St. Mary's County. He owns his own government contracting business in St. Mary's County, and he moved his company. He has moved his company to Norfolk in Virginia because of this particular tax. Now, Brian Crosby is a Democrat, and get this, he voted against the taxes, but he voted for the budget that spends all the taxes. And by the way, Brian's a really nice guy and so forth, but he told me, he's like off record. He's like, look, Mark, I had to move my business, and the Democrat majority, the leadership, penalized him and said, how dare you move your business? And he's like, well, at the end of the day, I'm still a business person. It's ridiculous. So Zoom, get this, Zoom sent out an email and said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay 3% for using Zoom. Now, Zoom charges 6% when you buy their product. Of course, that's the sales tax that's added to the price. But now if you're a Zoom user, an enterprise user, there is a 3% tax. So you're literally being charged twice in Maryland for the service.
50% more, by the way, on that extra Maryland tax. So, and here's the problem. They enacted all of these taxes thinking that they were going to be able to balance the budget with all the spending they've added to the Maryland budget, which is already bloated as it was, as Westmore inherited a surplus, and now he's blown through that without even looking. The problem is when you tax things like this, like tech services, it's a really easy thing for people to just move or get those services out of state because it's virtual. So, I mean, they may expect to have all this money coming in, but the money's not going to come because people are going to leave. They projected to make, $700 million in the next 10 years. That ain't happening, Delegate Fisher.
It's really not, and you nailed it. Tech companies, more than any others, and any other companies, are super mobile. They can just move because, as you said, it's virtual. And I'm sure that there are others that are moving, but I just gave the great example of Brian Crosby, who's a very nice man and just decided it was time to move. But the future of our economy in Maryland is without question an IT future. It's without question a technology future. And when you are absolutely taxing these technology companies and you have the highest electricity rates, some of the highest electricity rates in the country, you have really high income taxes, you have capital gains surcharges, so that one day when you sell your business, you're penalized for that. You're penalizing seniors and you're still charging them income tax. It does make it somewhat unlivable.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I've found out now that we're spending more money out of our budget to pay for the killing of unborn babies. As I guess Westmore has to shore up his support in the abortion portion of the Democrat Party if he wants to run nationwide. So as they raise my taxes on everything, I now get the benefit of knowing that part of my money out of my pocket is going to go for something that I am so fundamentally morally opposed to.
Yes, likewise. I remember a few years ago, Maryland was debating in the legislature the end-of-life bill as well as this bill, and then they put it on the ballot, and it wasn't enough for them to say, you have the right to abort a child up until and including the day of birth. Now they want others to pay for it, and it's very insulting, I think, to people of faith. Of which I am one, but this is one of the many. This is one of the many things the state does, and it's just constantly overreaching in every area of your life, and including your financial life, as we all know.
Yeah. Are there any cracks beginning to show here with this Democrat stronghold in Maryland? Is there anything that can be done other than to just get rid of the governor and begin the process, hopefully, of bringing sanity back? It seems like Maryland goes through these cycles where we go nuts with the Democrat and they tax us up the wazoo. People get angry, and maybe, just maybe, we're able to get a Republican in there to bring some sanity to the equation.
I have some really good news. There is a lot of dark money that is coming into Maryland now, running ads for Governor Moore, and saying how wonderful he is. So he is running scared. That's what that means. People think, oh, no, that makes him unbeatable. No, it means he is running really, really scared. The Democrat Party just sent out, and I believe I may have sent this to you guys, they just sent out for all of the legislators, the Democrat legislators, they did an attack piece, mail piece and digital piece on every single Republican in the legislature saying that they're trying to cut Medicaid. Which is the state version of Medicare. And what they're doing is, of course, is deflecting from all of their taxes that start July 1st, because that mail piece was scheduled to go out just as all of their taxes were scheduled to go into effect. So they are really, really running scared, and they should be. They absolutely should be.
Yeah, if they shouldn't have to worry about Republicans in any way whatsoever, and they certainly shouldn't have to worry about bolstering Wes Moore here 2 years before he runs for re-election. And if they are, it's because they've seen some polling here that shows that he is not nearly as popular. But he does have a fantastic smile. You can't take that away from him, Delegate Fisher.
He is such a great smiler, And
honestly,
And by the way, the taxes aren't affecting the middle class, according to him. You're not getting any tax increases.
The middle class, again, exactly. The only senior citizens that are going out fishing are the rich ones. You know why? Because if you're a middle class senior and you're retired, you are working. You have a job right now in your retirement if you're living in Maryland. Thank you, Delegate Fisher. Good talking with you. It's 7:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
It's critter news time, but it's also sort of immigration news. It's also governor comparison news as we dwell on the enigmatic and charming smile of Wes Moore as he takes money out of your pocket and pays for evil things at the state level in Maryland, we can look down south to Florida and see, well, quite possibly one of America's finest governors. That would be Ron DeSantis, who is proud to open a brand new facility that he built in connection with the Department of Homeland Security. They're calling it Alligator Alcatraz, Julie.
Wow.
It's an island in the middle of the Everglades. Kristi Noem is heading down today to participate in the grand opening, and it's for illegal immigrant criminal aliens who will be detained in an island prison facility surrounded by man-eating alligators.
Okay, this is going to make a great movie. Better than the 1979 Escape from Alcatraz starring Clint Eastwood. I mean, maybe we could have Clint Eastwood in it. Maybe he could direct.
Julie, they're selling merchandise.
I know.
You can get your Alligator Alcatraz T-shirts. They've got. They're actually calling it. It's officially. Somebody like made a joke and said, "Hey, we should call it Alligator Alcatraz." And someone in DeSantis' office says, "Yes, let's run with it." They've got T-shirts. They've got hats. They've got koozies for your beer cans.
Can you imagine the liberal tears? How insensitive!
Yes,
how insensitive!
Exactly. These are human beings. Well, I mean, the good news is next time Chris Van Hollen has to go visit one of his constituents who is a gang member and has been guilty of child porn and human trafficking, he doesn't have to go all the way down to El Salvador. True. He can just hang out in the Alligator Alcatraz, right? Yeah. This is exciting. It's literally guarded by alligators. If you want to climb the wall and get out of there and try to escape. The merch is pretty cool looking, by the way. You can go check it out. I think that the money actually goes to the Florida Republican Party. It's the Florida GOP that's merchandising this. We've come a long way, haven't we, as a party with regard to staying sort of consistent on our messaging with regard to illegal immigration. I remember when Ann Coulter wrote her book about illegal immigration, and she was like one of the lone voices in the wilderness because we'd gone into this, weird place where, and listen, on a human level, on a one-to-one level, I still understand. If you live across the border in Mexico and you know that the U.S. government is not going to guard that border, and you have a choice between living in a hellhole and living in Texas, and and the U.S. government has said, hey, we're not going to do anything. Well, I mean, it's like a store putting all its merchandise out saying, if you want to steal it, honestly, we're not going to do anything.
You know what I would love, though? I would love Mexicans to improve their country.
Thank you. Yes.
Or, all those countries south of the United States.
But they've had no reason
to. Stay. Maybe improve your country. Now, there are brave people who have tried to improve their countries, and they've been killed by drug cartels. But I'm a little tired of that whole.
But we have really come a long way. Not only are we now building the Alligator Alcatraz, but as a party, we are selling merchandise celebrating the Alligator Alcatraz and then raising money for new candidates who will keep opening Alligator Alcatraz.
Have you bought anything yet?
Not yet, but I will. And here's the other thing you need to know about Alligator Alcatraz. If you're an illegal alien criminal gang member, like a Chris Van Hollen constituent from Maryland, and you decide you want to escape, and you climb the wall, and you get past the razor wire, and you get past the guards, and you're now in the Everglades, and you're trying to wade to safety, and you may be worried about alligators, here's the thing. That's not actually the most dangerous thing.
I know.
You have to worry about. They now have a huge influx of invasive Burmese pythons.
Yeah.
In the Everglades. But
they're
from Burma. What are they doing in Florida?
You will be digested in a python's belly. By the way, Larry, if you buy something, you're the head of the show. I feel like you should buy stuff.
I might have to get some for everybody.
Heather,
well, you know
Michael,
what? Absolutely.
Patrice.
Everyone will get, we will pose in a picture with our matching Alligator Alcatraz swag.
Excellent.
How did the Burmese python get to the Everglades? One answer, a simple one. Florida man. A lot of Florida dudes who drive their F-150s, who without their shirts on and their gun racks, drinking their beers and saying, you know what I want? I want to get me a python. So they go out and they get a python, and it's really cute. And they pose for pictures on their girlfriend's Instagram with their tattoos. I mean, their girlfriend's tattoos. And they got the snake, and they got but then, here's the funny thing about Burmese pythons. They grow. They grow really, really big. And so then finally it's like, I don't want this thing around my house anymore. And so what do they do with it? They put it in the back of the F-150. They
Nobody
take
in
it
Florida
down to the
sounds like
swamp.
that, Larry. No one in Florida sounds like that, Larry.
Well, in this part of Florida, they do. Oh, there's the northern part of Florida sounds very southern. So it's that they put the python in the back of the F-150 bed, they drive it down to the Everglades, and they dump it off. And it gets bigger because it's eating alligators.
Good God.
And illegal immigrant gang members. So I suggest that you all stay behind those walls. It's 7:23. Coming up next, it's Phil Wegmann. He's the White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics. We'll get the latest from him about this week's July 4th celebrations, the ongoing spat between Trump and Elon Musk, and what's next for the big, beautiful bill. All that and more coming up with Phil Wegmann. Keep it here.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:37. They got the Alligator Alcatraz T-shirts in heather gray or charcoal. Not sure which you'd prefer, Julie Gunlock.
Like charcoal.
They also have the trucker hat.
Oh,
They got a black trucker hat with the mesh back.
Nice.
Over at the Florida GOP website. They've also got a Gulf of America shirts. Says, welcome to the Gulf of America, and it shows an elephant lounging in a chaise lounge near the Gulf.
I love this.
Right?
I love every bit of this.
I went to look at the swag they're selling on the Maryland GOP website, and all it has is big T-shirts that say, help, get me out of here. That's a big difference there between the Sunshine State and the Terrapin State. Joining us now, it's Phil Wegmann. He's the White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics. Are you traveling with the president to the Alligator Alcatraz, Phil?
I'm staying in the swamp and not going anywhere near the Everglades, but it'll be especially interesting because this facility is getting a lot of attention. It was branded Alligator Alcatraz not by opponents of President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, but by the Florida Republicans down there on their own. And I think that as we look at the facility there, while the One Big Beautiful Bill makes its way through Congress, you know, the promise that Tom Homan has made is that if ICE and Border Patrol get this additional funding, that deportations are going to skyrocket. So perhaps Alligator Alcatraz is a sign of things to come.
Phil, you mentioned the big, beautiful bill, as they call it. It's a huge tax cut. It's the president's tax cuts, the ones he promised and ran on. You would think Republicans would line up to help their president get those tax cuts enacted. But, boy, they're having a lot of trouble there in the Senate on some of the key provisions. Where does it stand now on Dawn's early light?
So you have Senate Republicans. Some of them are not happy with the bitter pill they were forced to swallow. You have Rand Paul, who has made arguments that sound kind of like throwbacks from the Tea Party era. Turns out he believes those fiscal conservative arguments. He doesn't want to see the debt ceiling increase. Then you have Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who now really does have nothing to lose after he announced his retirement. He's an opponent to the changes that are being made to Medicaid. We're going to see how this ends up. I mean, Republicans, their backs are to the wall on this because this is Trump's one and only chance to get his marquee legislative agenda into law. So they're going to pass something. But whether it satisfies the hopes and dreams of the president, that remains to be seen.
Well, Phil, one of Trump's opponents on this is Elon Musk. He has vowed primary challenges for those who support. That's a lot then. It's a lot. It's pretty much all of them except a few. And then, of course, Trump responds to that by saying, oh, this is all about the EV mandates. What are your thoughts on this? Is that something that members are going to be worried about? Elon Musk vowing to go after all of these members if they support the big, beautiful bill?
I mean, to your point, is it going to primary the entire party?
Right.
That would be difficult. Go look at the roll call vote over in the House. We're going to see something pretty similar in the Senate, I imagine, by the
But
end of this.
he could fund the primary challenges of those that are vulnerable, and for those vulnerable members, are they going to think twice?
That's very true. I think that this gives some of those fiscal conservatives a little bit more room to operate as Elon Musk turns up the pressure on Republicans. He also was also floating the idea of a third party. The world's richest man has a sort of mixed record when it comes to results in politics, but when he has that much cash to throw around, it is something that they have to take notice of.
Yeah.
And what we see from Trump is he continues to find this pressure point. He continues to argue this is about EV mandates. When Elon Musk says, no, I spent all of that money in the last general election, and I spent all of those months in Washington because I really was serious about shrinking the size of the government, and now Republicans, at least in his view, are doing the exact opposite.
Phil Wegmann's our guest. He's the White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics. Phil, as the president was leaving his Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia Sunday, there was a photograph taken of him in the back of the Beast wearing what appears to be reading glasses. You made note of this on your X account. Have you seen Trump wearing glasses? I had no idea. You feel like this guy's been in our life for decades, either as a TV star or media mogul or president.
He didn't tell us.
I had no idea he wore glasses.
Yeah, my money is on Peter Ducey to be the first reporter to ask him a question about the readers. It seems like a Peter question. I haven't seen him either, which was so remarkable. I mean, I was with the president in the motorcade on Sunday, but I didn't spot him wearing glasses. And I think that, look, Donald Trump, more than anything, he's obsessed with the image and the shot. The guy understands television. And in this case, he, often leaves the glasses at home away from the cameras. So it was surprising, to say the least.
Phil, I've been around a while. Take my sage advice here. You're missing the big story. 2 words: body double. I'm telling you. Look into it. That's the only explanation.
Don't
body
look into
double. Thanks, Phil Wegmann. Have a great July 4th. Enjoy that B-2 flyover. They're stealthy, you know.
That's going to be wild.
It is. It's 7:43.
Later this morning in the Chris Plant Show, Zohran Mamdani says he's not a communist, but he's not a capitalist. I guess he's a Democrat. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
We've got some metro rail news for you if you're riding the train. First of all, on July 4th, if you're going to come downtown to the mall to watch the festivities and the fireworks and the flyovers and all of that, take the train. Just trust me on this. It's going to be a nightmare. I've done it before, and yes, it's crowded getting into the train, but it's not. It's a whole bunch of wholesome, America-loving people who are down there, and it's a party, and just do it. And the trains are going to be free from 5 p.m. on, so there's that. Also, they're going to be wrapped with beautiful, patriotic red, white, and blue decorations.
That's right. I heard that, actually. Really cool. Heather, our executive producer, told me that. I had no idea. Yeah. This is great.
They look great. The designs are great. They look like giant sort of fireworks all over, all red, white, and blue. It makes you feel very warm and fuzzy about America. I remember there was a controversy months ago when the Trump administration mandated that the American flag sticker be put on the trains, and people are like, "This is fascist." Well, we've come a long way in just a few months. Where now we're celebrating.
I'm glad they're wrapping the subways, but it does make me nervous, because I wonder if someone in the D.C. government didn't realize this, and so next June it's going to be Pride Metro.
Oh,
seriously.
No, you're right. You're right. Lord knows what they might put on the trains to celebrate Pride Month in June. Insanity. Julie, are you going to be coming across the Potomac to watch the celebration, or are you going to stay in Alexandria and just find a spot where you can see everything? I think we've lost Julie. Okay, we'll try to reconnect there with her microphone. For some reason, it may have died. All right, that's what we'll connect on it. That said, if you are coming across, again, as I suggest, make sure you take the train in and out of the downtown area. Park elsewhere, train in. Trains will be free from 5 p.m. Also, by the way, this is kind of interesting. Congressman Greg Steube of Florida has introduced a brand new bill last week. It's to rename the subway system. Get this. They want to rename the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, WMATA, and rebrand it the Washington Metropolitan Authority for Greater Access, or WMAGA. They will literally rename the D.C. subway system WMAGA. Are you on board with this?
No. No.
It ticks off all the right people.
Well, but honestly, like no, don't do that. I just want to answer your earlier question. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say I never go down. I might go down. I might actually go to the mall.
I'll tell you, I'm kind of kicking myself because I didn't even think about it. That this would be a great 4th of July with Trump's first year of Trump's first term and all the. And I certainly didn't know about the flyovers and the B-2 and all that because of Iran. I had already made out-of-town plans with family for this 4th of July.
You don't love America.
No, I do. I'm going to the heartland. I'm going to be in real America.
That's
but
true.
I'll tell you this. Next year, I've already blocked it out because next year is the 250th.
Oh, right.
And yes, it's going to be insane. And yes, it's going to be crowded.
Are we going to do something for like WMAL? Is it going to have like a thing?
I think we will.
We should.
I think we certainly should. Yes, absolutely.
Let's have a party.
Like a giant picnic down on the mall
yes.
with everybody.
Oh, my. Oh, yes. That would be fun. Our
you
viewers,
can cook.
That would be so. I'll cook.
Chris Plant can be the bartender.
What are you going to do?
I'm in charge of games.
I'm just going to roam around.
And performing arts. It's going to be so crowded. It'll be insane. You know where we should... Actually, you know what would be good? No offense to the District of Columbia or anything, but on the 250th, if we are going to do something like that, we should do it over by the Iwo Jima statue in Rosslyn.
There is a beautiful... we'll talk. There is a beautiful location we could get.
See? All right. We got a year to plan this.
Yeah, I know. God, we got to get going.
But I'm definitely going to be in town for the 250th. It's going to be insane. It's going to be incredible, and we can't wait. And up in New York, they're going to do the whole thing with the tall ships and stuff, and only a couple of the Mexican ships will hit the Brooklyn Bridge. So
there's that. Okay, I'm not laughing. That was terrible.
It's 7:53.